Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last of the 2023 Wednesday night webinars with No CD. No CD, an online platform for the treatment of obsessive compulsive and related disorders. Check us out at nocd.com. Across the U.S., we are in all 50 states, and we do take insurance. We're also in Canada and the U.K. and Australia. And as for that insurance, we get more and more companies that utilize No CD all the time. So keep checking us out to see what we can do. Let's start the show. Hello, everyone. Baden says, OCD struggles have ruined many of your life goals brutally. The uncertainty of whether you will be able to achieve your remaining goals often leads to dreadful anxiety. You feel out of motivation to live life. What should be a healthy mindset to handle this anxiety move forward? I feel like it will not be worth living with all the broken dreams and goals. Well, there's a lot of people with OCD, I think, who would feel a certain kind of way. And if there's a feeling of being defeated by OCD, that can be there for lots of folks as well. I'm going to challenge you a little bit, Baden, in the idea that you want to know what is a mindset to face OCD in a different way and to handle the anxiety and move forward. I don't believe that you have a bad mindset. What I believe is if we need to change something, it's your behavior and not your mindset. Here's why I say that. If it was just a mindset, then we would just give that mindset to everyone with OCD. And I'd wonder why we hadn't figured out what the mindset is for 50 years. Why have we not gotten the mindset yet? So it's not about a mindset. Unless that mindset is going to be this motivation to do things that are difficult and tough and uncomfortable, knowing that in doing so, it can lead you to the goals that you want to have. You talk about not being able to have met your dreams and your goals. I don't know anyone who, by doing what OCD wants them to do, meets the goals and dreams that they've set out. I know people with OCD who report a great deal of difficulty achieving their goals and their dreams because of their OCD. But I don't see people out celebrating the fact that OCD has really allowed them to achieve their goals and live their dream life. So my hope would be this. If you do need to have a mindset change, it is to be motivated to do ERP, to learn how to handle uncertainty and discomfort, and to allow yourself to be motivated to face your fears and do the things that are uncomfortable. That will be what changes ultimately the mindset that I think that you're looking for. Some people want the mindset to change and then think that will change OCD. Sometimes you got to change your behaviors and then watch the mindset change. So I hope that that's helpful. N1 Mr. OD, maybe Nimrod. Nimrod, there you go. That's a good way to spell it. When we do testing compulsions and the testing doesn't give us the result we wanted, is that still OCD? Can OCD do that? It feels like it's impossible to reach any sort of conclusion because my brain keeps moving the goalpost. The sense of certainty is always short-lived and nothing ever sticks for good. Well, that describes OCD amazingly well. You should frame that actually. Let's pop that up for everybody just to right here into this. What a great definition of OCD here for everybody. It's impossible to reach any sort of conclusion because your brain keeps moving the goalpost. The sense of certainty is always short-lived and nothing ever sticks for good. That sounds like OCD to me. Now, Nimrod, when you're talking about testing compulsions and saying the testing doesn't give you the result that you wanted, I don't know anyone with OCD who's ever tested anything and gotten the result that they wanted to the level and point where OCD said, "Oh, congratulations. You've now satisfied me to the fullest extent. I can leave now." That's never happened. That isn't going to happen. So that's just not the goal. That's not what we're out to do. We're not out to try to test this enough to finally find the result that we want, because how can you ever test and get the result that you want when, by your own words there, your brain keeps moving the goalpost, right? There's there's no way to do a test that achieves what you would like if the goalpost is constantly moving. So I I'm going to challenge you, Nimrod, which is the goal is not to test and get an answer and result that you're hoping for. The goal is to resist the testing, because the testing is a compulsion, and learn to live with the fact that it's okay to have doubt and uncertainty, and therefore start to feel better because of that, instead of seeking the test that you'll finally achieve the result that you were hoping for and only feel good because of that. Hope that makes sense. OCD Crusher says happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well. Stephanie says, I feel like my OCD doesn't want you to be happy in your relationship because it constantly forces you to confess every little detail of everything you've ever done wrong to your partner over and over again. How do you combat the constant need to confess real event memories to your partner, which force you to feel guilt and shame if you do not tell him about the confessions and memories it forces you to add details to? So, Stephanie, basically what you're saying there is for you to avoid feelings of guilt and shame, which OCD loves to manipulate along with anxiety and disgust and various other things. That in order for you to avoid feelings of guilt and shame, you must confess all sorts of things to him and add details to him as well too. Well, this is a great example of the selfishness of OCD, right? Where OCD says, my partner's happiness and well-being doesn't really matter. What matters is that I do all these confessions to my partner. Because if I don't, then there will be lots of guilt and lots of shame. Now, notice I said OCD. I'm not blaming you for this, Stephanie. I'm not saying you are selfish, right? I'm saying OCD is selfish and has manipulated you into doing its selfish bidding. So, Stephanie, here's the question. What would be wrong with feeling guilt and shame? Why would that be so terrible? Because if we think about it, if it's OCD generated, how real is that guilt and shame anyway? Now, one way that I love to get people to see if what they're doing is a worthwhile thing to do is to ask a question. And Stephanie, I will ask you this question. Would you tell your partner to do the same thing to you? Or if the relationship doesn't work out because the OCD is so strong and the partner says, I can't listen to these things anymore, I need you to stop, and you don't stop because your OCD keeps driving you to do it. Would you then tell your partner in your next relationship, I'm sorry ours didn't work out, but just if you want it to really work well, please remember to confess every single thought, every detail of everything that you think you might have ever done wrong in your life to your partner, over your new partner, over and over again, because that will be the thing that will strengthen your relationship. Now, I'm going to bet, Stephanie, you're going to say, no, I would not do that. And I would hope you would not, because I think we can all agree that that would not be the thing that would make any relationship better. So isn't it interesting, taking a look at just what we've had already today? This idea that OCD appears to think that it's got the answers and it knows how to make things better. And yet, what we've heard so far from Stephanie and from Nimrod and from Baden is this notion that following through with what the OCD has wanted them to do, be it testing, be it getting in the way of achieving goals because it would rather do compulsions than move toward goals, or in this situation, confessing. I'm going to bet that the three of you, would give great advice to each other that you would not follow yourselves. This is kind of similar to when I was at the hospital running OCD groups, and we'd have somebody new come into the group, and inevitably the new person at some point would say, while other people in the group were talking, boy, I really wish I had that kind of OCD. That would be great, because that would be so much easier to deal with than mine. And inevitably what would happen is the group would stop and they would laugh at this person because they'd all done the same thing when they joined the group as well. They had also all felt, wouldn't it be great to have anyone else's type of OCD than the one that I have? Because all of those would be so much easier to deal with than mine is. So that's a known thing in the OCD world, right? That you think yours is the absolute worst. And you could look at anybody else's and say, well, here's what you should do for that. Or try this, try that. If there's a fault of anyone who has OCD, and I mean this in the kindest way, it's that you believe the lies that OCD tells you. You fall for the trick every time. You are lucid because you are Charlie Brown chasing the football. And though in the back of your mind, you know she's going to pull that stupid football up off the ground and you're going to go flying through the air, you're going to try to do it anyway in the hopes that this time might be the time that you actually get to do it. Even though you know in your gut, she's not going to leave it there. So in some ways, people with OCD might be very eternally optimistic, hoping this will be the time that everything will work out without the thing working out, right? Because if OCD led to things working out, again, my job would be, hey, person on the street, things seem to be a bit tough today. Might I interest you in some obsessive compulsive disorder? Might I give you a little OCD to help you through the rest of your life? Now, I think I'd lose my license if that was the case, right? But for people with OCD, it is so conniving and so convincing that you believe it to be true, right? And I think as a therapist, I'll say that's always the hardest part for me, is for people who have bought OCD hook, line, and sinker, and who just think to themselves, well, there's no way out of this. I'm going to be like this forever. I'm stuck. Then we're looking at higher levels of care kinds of things, because it becomes very, very difficult then to motivate people to do something different and to change if they absolutely 100% believe in the correctness of OCD, right? So we're always hoping to develop some insight into people to get them to recognize, hey, OCD is not your friend. OCD does not have your best interests at heart. And if it did, well, again, then we'd be giving OCD out to people instead of helping people to challenge it. Okay. So, Stephanie, back to roundabout way here. It's time for you to feel the shame and the guilt without spreading that to other people, and for you to learn that you can handle it. And I would encourage you to do that with the help of a therapist who could assist you with that and get you through this time to be able to hopefully save that relationship and not have OCD overrun it. Christina says, "Hey, Dr. McGrath. Hello. You've scheduled to put your hedgehog down on Friday. He has terminal cancer. Of course, your OCD has latched onto this ruminating on if I'm doing the right thing. Is it too early, etc." Well, boy, there's so many places to go with this one, I'll tell you. I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible that I can. I think that we treat animals better than humans when it comes to dying. Unless you're in a couple of states in this country, if you're a human who's dying, you must suffer until you die. And if you're an animal who's dying, we take pity on you and we do what we can to end your life so that you don't have to have suffering. And so, Christina, I, of course, know that your OCD would want to jump in on this because this is such a difficult decision. But I want to commend you, Christina, on a very difficult choice here, which is you have decided that by having the ability to help end the pain of a creature that's living in this world so that it will not spend the rest of its life in misery, and you are going to follow through on that, I'm going to give you some high praise right here, because I think that no matter what OCD is going to say, and it's going to tell you that, I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, but OCD tells people that I'm an idiot every day. I can make lots of jokes about that, but I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that. But I think that I want to say to you, I commend the choice you're making and know it's a difficult one, but also feel that really shows the beauty and the love that you have for that creature. So, Joe says, "How do I stop staring at women when I am with my wife? It has caused a breakup." Well, first of all, I wonder if you recognize this as an OCD potential thing, because there is this concept of ocular toretic OCD. I'm not diagnosing you. I don't know you. I can't say that or anything like that. But Joe, you may benefit from going to meet with someone to see if that could be what's going on and how the staring is interfering in your life and what is happening with the staring. When does it occur? How often does it occur? How do you stop it? Does it feel like you're stuck doing it? All those kinds of things. So I feel like you will really benefit, Joe, especially if there's potentially this breakup that you're saying here going on. I think that getting some professional help in this situation right now will probably be a very, very good thing to do. Michelle says, "Hi, Dr. McGrath. Currently going through a relapse with OCD. Sorry to hear that. And you're having a hard time with it if this is OCD this time or if it's not. Also struggling with the feelings and thoughts. It's a pedophilic POCD kind of thing." Well, OCD will always want you to doubt if it's OCD, right? Remember, it is the doubting disorder, and it will want you to doubt if it's even OCD, because it will, if it can get you to believe, well, maybe that really is me, that increases the chances and opportunities of you doing compulsions, right? And what does OCD wants you to do more than anything else in the world? It would like you to do compulsions. And therefore, guess what? That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to do tons and tons and tons and tons of compulsions. So we know that the food of OCD is a compulsion, right? That's what it eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we know that OCD wants you to doubt if it's OCD or not. And we know that OCD is going to go against all the things that you love the most. And that's why it's going to feel so horrible, whatever the thoughts or images or urges you have, because they really do grab on things that you love or are important to you, something like that. And so you have a recipe here of OCD getting in there and pulling on emotional strings, fight, flight, freeze, anxiety, disgust, shame, guilt, whatever it might be. And it's going to say to you, hey, Michelle, you've got an out. I've got an out for you, Michelle. And that out is do some compulsions. So here's the things I want you to do, Michelle. I want you to do these compulsions. And then I will gift you, Michelle. You know what the gift is, Michelle? I will gift you with minor and transient relief. That is my gift to you. Look at how wonderful and awesome I am, Michelle. I, your OCD, will grant you the gift of minor transient relief. Isn't that special of me? Aren't I so very wonderful and kind to you? Maybe you should listen to me more. Maybe I should be worshiped or loved or adored because I, Michelle, have your best interests at heart. And Michelle, wouldn't it be awful or horrible if those thoughts or images or urges really were to come true? I mean, think about it. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? And Michelle, even though we have no evidence of them whatsoever, what if they actually were latently there and they were to come true? And what if there were things that you could do to try to prevent it from ever happening? And what if, Michelle, you chose not to do those things and then that thing were to actually happen? I mean, are you really, Michelle, willing to take that risk versus do my compulsions, Michelle? They protect you. They keep the world safe and sane. They allow for things to move along in the way that they're supposed to. And yes, you'll feel like crap for the rest of your life, Michelle. And I mean, that's a tiny thing, of course, no. But here's what I will do, Michelle, because I know you don't want to feel like crap for the rest of your life. So I will grant you, every time you do a compulsion, minor transient relief. Aren't I wonderful? Not only will I prevent your worst fears from coming true, I'll gift you minor transient relief. I think you should worship me. I think I deserve some applause here. I think I should be written up in books. I think I should get a major award. That's what I think. Because look at what I do for you. I protect you from the worst case scenario by compulsions. And in return, I feed you a scrap of food. And while I eat forever because I'm insatiable and you starve for living the life that you want to live, I'll give you a nugget once in a while, but you're never going to get there, just so you know. But hey, at least, that POCD thing didn't come true, right? So we've got that going for us, at least, if that's the case. Now, Michelle, you can get off this hamster wheel you find yourself on. Or you could keep doing everything that OCD wants you to do. And you're going to say, so I'm just going to say it for you, but it feels so real. And I'm going to say what I always say, which is, I know it does because it has to, because if it didn't, I wouldn't have a job. And the other reason that it feels so real is because it does trigger emotions. And what did you learn from a little child when that fight, flight, or freeze, or guilt, or shame, or things are elicited? They've always been about things that are real. And so why wouldn't this also be real? And that's the trickery of OCD. Just so you know, that's how it works. It's the way that it goes. I can't explain it any better than that. Liz says you struggle with various themes of OCD and have finally got in a better place with some of them. And in return, new themes are surfacing and driving you insane. Well, I don't want you to go insane, Liz. What I want you to do is use the same tools and techniques that you've utilized to deal with the ones that you've gotten in a better place for. And I want you to use those with anything new that comes up as well, too. Now, this may shock all of you with OCD, but the same stuff can apply to treat all of the new themes as the ones that have treated the old themes as well, too. But unfortunately, OCD seems to induce a bit of amnesia into people. And the amnesia is, oh, wait, I've already figured out a way to deal with this. Because OCD says, oh, but not this, because this is totally different than the last one. The last one, we thought if we saw the color blue, something horrible would happen. Now it's the color aqua blue, right? And I don't know how to deal with that. Well, how about we deal with it the same way we dealt with the color blue? Oh, we can do that? Yes, absolutely, 100%. We can absolutely do that. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to apply what works, and we're going to keep applying what works until we get to a point of OCD recognizing it's time to throw up the white flag, because no matter what I throw at them, they keep doing this stupid ERP thing and it keeps getting past what I'm trying to do. There's your goal, everybody. Welcome to getting better. Let's see. Jordan, you cold, says, you're almost sure you have severe OCD. It is very overwhelming and draining throughout the day and has been seemingly getting worse in the last 2 years or so. Jordan, please reach out to get help, right? If that's with us at NoCD, you could check us out at nocd.com or treatmyocd.com. That's great. You can go to the International OCD Foundation and see a list of providers that they have. There's the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. There's the Association for Behavioral and Cognitive Therapy. All sorts of great places to go. There's even the No KNOW OCD directory as well, too. Lots of places to go and check out to find providers. I encourage you, Jordan, you don't have to just feel this get worse over the last 2 years. And for another 2 years, you can start working with someone today to get some help. Anna says, hello, I'm worried that all of my overthinking about your relationship is actually your thoughts and feelings towards this and don't know how to stop it. You keep talking about it with your partner to lift, let's see, your anxiety and guilt. There we go. Kind of as we talked about before, when it comes to bringing your partner into these things, remember why you're doing this. If you're doing it to lift your anxiety and guilt, what are you putting on them? Right? Anna, I think you're stronger than you give yourself credit for. I think you'd have the ability to deal with the guilt and the anxiety if you allowed yourself the chance to do so. But right now, instead of doing that, you've bought into a belief. And that belief is, I can't handle this. I can't deal with it. And I just simply don't believe that, Anna. Just so you know. I don't believe that you can't handle it. I don't believe that you can't deal with it. I think you're stuck. And I hope that you too will reach out to find someone to help you, because what I wouldn't want to see is your relationship go down the tubes because OCD thought that it had a better way to deal with the relationship than you would normally deal with the relationship. You know, I would not allow OCD to be in charge of anything. Just throwing it out there for anyone. If you're looking for a project manager, I don't think OCD is the choice to be the project manager. Schofield says your OCD manifests as illness anxiety. Okay. 3 months ago, you got diagnosed with benign fiscalization syndrome by Stanford Neurology. Your OCD keeps telling you it's ALS, regardless of the proof. Well, now you have to make a decision. Just because your OCD tells you that, do you have to believe that? Or could you say, I hear you, but whatever and move on and live your life, right? I mean, if my OCD told me that, I'll use my old example. I haven't used this example for a while. Prior to the show, I took a bottle of alcohol out of my house. I put a rag in it. I lit it on fire and I threw it as a Molotov cocktail at my neighbor Dave's house. And then I went in the middle of the street and pooped in a paper bag and then brought it over to my neighbor Josh's house and lit it on fire and rang the doorbell and ran away. And he came out and saw a little fire and he stomped on it. And then he got fiery poopy shoes and I laughed at him. And then I shot a couple of geese and then I came inside and I did the webinar. If I go look right now, I'm going to bet my neighbor's house is still there and there's not going to be the remains of a fired poopy bag. And there won't be any dead geese out there as well, too. I'm wondering, Schofield, how many times should I go check, though, just to make sure? Because my OCD keeps telling me that that's what I did. So 7 times, 47 times, 932 times, 6,083 times. I mean, where do I stop, Schofield? How could I ever give OCD enough for it to be satisfied? In fact, lovely poll question for everybody. And I love how all of you support each other in the chats and they're so fun. In fact, sometimes I just scroll down while I'm doing some other answers just to see what people are saying a little bit. And I feel bad I can never get through everything all night with all the answers and all the questions and everything. But poll question for all of you to discuss as you all chat with each other. Okay. How many of you have done a ritual to a point that you finally felt like it was perfect and your OCD said, well, congratulations, I'm going to go now. You've fulfilled everything I've ever hoped for. I'm really proud of you and I'll be gone. Just love to see that in the chat. How many of you that's actually happened to, and if it has happened, could you share your secret with the rest of everybody about how to make that happen? Because wouldn't that be nice if we could just bottle that up and get it out to everybody? That would be wonderful. Sunshine Bird, haven't seen you in a while. Happy holidays to you too. Thought replacing is really taking over your life. You tried to lean into the thought, but it's too hard. Any thoughts? You're forever like this. Well, once you've held on to the notion that it's too hard, then it is too hard, right? Then there's nothing really else to do if your belief is that it is too hard. So I would ask you, what actually is too hard about accepting a thought, right? I've accepted the thought that I might have thrown a Molotov cocktail at my neighbor Dave's house, and that I might have pooped in a bag and set it on fire and put it in front of my neighbor Josh's house. And I might have shot 3 geese that are now laying out in the yard in front of my house before I came on to the webinar. I've accepted that thought. Are there other thoughts that are harder than that? I mean, maybe not to me, maybe to you, right? But everybody has their idea of what the hard thoughts are, right? So if that's the case, Sunshine Bird, and I'm worried that I've done that, should I pause the show now and go outside and just check just to make sure? And then what I would probably do is doubt the check. And so I'd go and check again. And then I doubt it a little bit more because we have proof that the more that you check things, the more you actually doubt them. So, Sunshine Bird, when is it enough to have checked? And if I were to tell myself that it's just too hard to deal with, then I'd have to leave the show entirely and just go sit outside and stare at my neighbor Dave's house until it caught on fire. Because if I believed that I had thrown this, that it's just a matter of time And maybe I should actually just go over there and knock on the door and say, I just need to get you all out of the house because there's a chance that I threw a Molotov cocktail at your house and it may go up in flames any second, right? Even if Dave comes out and he looks around and he says, I don't smell any alcohol and I don't see any flames and there's no broken glass, I could say, well, you just haven't looked hard enough. I really do think that it's there. And I'm doing all of that out of this notion that it would just be too hard to accept the fact that I didn't do it, right? And it would also be too hard to accept whatever the results of that thing were too. So therefore, since I can't accept that I didn't do it, and I also can't accept the horrific results of what would happen had I done it, I'm forever logged into this experience of having to check and 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 check, right? Or for you, replace and replace and replace and replace and replace and replace and replace. Maybe Sunshine Bird, one of the most fundamental things you need to really kind of consider here is this. I don't believe that any thought at all is bad. And you do. Because you wouldn't have to keep replacing thoughts if you didn't fundamentally believe that the thoughts that you were having were bad thoughts. I don't think any thought's bad whatsoever. I don't judge people for thoughts, right? If I did, this would be the worst profession to be in. All I would do is listen to people, and after sessions, I'd be like, calling up friends going, hey, listen to this. You wouldn't believe what the hell this person just said. Isn't that weird? Holy moly. Can't wait till the next one. Let's see what they say. No. There's no thought judgment from this guy on this end. But what do you have going on, Sunshine Bird, internally? Thought judgment. You are holding on to the belief that thoughts are bad, images are bad, urges are bad, and that they need to be replaced. And as long as you really believe that, and as long as you keep replacing things because of that, OCD wins. It's as simple as that. If it's tricked you enough to get you to do that, and it's holding on for dear life now, wanting you to do that, it's going to do whatever it can to win every single time. So, Sunshine Bird, what would happen if you just allowed the thought to be there and didn't replace it? I know you're saying it's too hard, but I would bet you money that if you told me the thought, I could have it there and not try to replace it and not have a problem with it. And the difference, Sunshine Bird, between you and me is I don't have OCD and you do. So if the problem was the thought, I want everyone to listen to this. Just pay close attention here, everybody. I think this is going to be really, really important for all of you. If the problem was the thought, it would not matter if you had OCD. If the thought was as bad and awful and horrible as OCD says, it would not matter if you had OCD. The thought would just be terrible, and every single person who heard it would have to do something to neutralize it. You can tell me any thought in the world, I ain't neutralizing it. So I don't for a second at all believe that your thoughts are bad or that they need to be replaced. That is OCD trickery. That is a compulsion. That is how you are feeding OCD and making it stronger every day. Every thought replacement makes OCD stronger, not weaker. And remember, OCD does not have your best interest at heart. OCD does not care if you're uncomfortable at all. OCD wants you to do only one thing, and that is compulsions. And that's it. Nothing else. LA Dodgers 13L says, hello. How do you handle when you do ERP and afterwards the ERP? When I am calm, your OCD says that your calm is because you allowed the thoughts to be here. Well, what's wrong with allowing thoughts to be there? When I'm on staircases, I think about pushing people down the stairs. I allow the thoughts to be there. I don't do anything to try to push them away. And I guarantee if I'm on stairs with any of you, I'll think about pushing you down the stairs. The reason, of course, is that I've treated so many people who are afraid of what if they push people downstairs that I can't take stairs anymore without thinking about pushing people downstairs. So, LA Dodgers, I'm wondering, am I wrong being calm with those thoughts being there? Or should I do something to neutralize them? I'm thrilled that you're calm after doing ERP. And the lie that comes is OCD saying, well, the reason you're calm is because of blah, blah, blah. Right? I mean, I'd love it if every time OCD spoke, all you heard was instead of anything that it said. Then I just treat everybody for, how do I deal with, I don't know. We'll figure a way out. Maybe one day. Everyone in the world with OCD will collectively decide, hey, wait a minute. OCD is not telling the truth. Instead of waiting for that day to happen, though, I'm going to do it one person at a time. And if I have to do it one question at a time through these webinars, that's what I'm going to do. And that's how I'm going to approach it. Beth enjoyed her first Christmas for the first time since 2019. Didn't even wash your hands after opening presents. Handled your presents and enjoyed yourself. Good job, Beth. We're proud of you. Excellent work. Naomi says, 51-year-old female, can you touch on perimenopausal or menopause and OCD? You had a major relapse out of nowhere. Yes, absolutely. Hormonal changes can absolutely play a role in the manifestation of OCD. And so if you've hit perimenopause and or menopause or even the time around your period, OCD can get worse for sure for some folks. Not everybody, right? But some people definitely do feel an up and down kind of cycle depending on their cycle, right? And so, Naomi, totally normal. A good piece, the same kind of treatment still applies. You're still going to do ERP. That's exactly what you're going to do, Naomi. So I hope that you will continue to do that, because if it came out of nowhere as a major relapse, I'm hoping that there wasn't much OCD going on prior to this. And believe me, you can get back there again, right? But know that, yes, hormones can play a role in some of this manifestation for sure. Liz says, shout out to your therapist at OCD who's helped you tremendously. 6 months in with a lot of work still to be done, but you can feel the difference. And for sure, I'm excited for 2024 and the work you will do. That's wonderful. I'm really thrilled for you. Anna says, I stay worried that if I do eventually get help, that'll prove me your OCD right if this doesn't go away. Well, I can't guarantee that an OCD thought won't be right now and then, just like a broken clock is right twice a day. Because OCD grabs onto anything. And so once in a while, OCD will say, well, maybe this will happen, or maybe this, or if you don't do this. And you know what? I've seen people have things happen. I once had a student who was out driving with someone whose ultimate fear was what if they were in an accident, and they actually got rear-ended by somebody, and the person handled it amazingly. And at the end of it, they said to my student, "Hey, let's go drive somewhere." And my student was shocked, like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be." Okay. So even if something is right, I I really don't think it will be as bad as you're holding on to. You believe it will be, even even if it seems right, right? So, you know, not only does OCD get you to believe things that are most likely way out there, ridiculous, all these kinds of things, it also gets you to hold on to the notion that, and you won't be able to handle it. Well, who says you won't be able to handle it? I mean, where does that really come from? Why why would we hold on to that belief that we can't handle it? So let's not let's not get stuck there, right? Let's not hold on to that. The only thing that will prevent you from handling something is likely you, right? And just because you believe you can't handle it doesn't mean that you can't handle it, right? OCD, though, being the bully that it is going to say, to quote Jack Nicholas's character in a movie form, "You can't handle the truth," right? All right, you say that, but how do you really know? What proof do you have that I can't handle it? Because I'm telling you, but I don't believe you. But it's true. What's your proof? Because I said so. That's not enough proof for me. Yes, it is. Well, no, it, it's not. Right? Okay, then. What if it were to become true? Oh, okay. Now you got me. Now, yeah, yeah. Wow. What if it were to become true? Oh, that would be terrible. Yeah. Ooh, okay. You're saying that it's a possibility then, right? Oh, well, I can't live knowing that that's possible. I need to do everything to try to make that not be possible whatsoever. Because how can I live in a world where that's possible? Well, we all live in that world. We all live in that world on every single day, right? I have no guarantee the next time I get in my car that I'm going to get where I'm going without an accident. I have no guarantee I'm even going to get where I'm going. I might not even make it there. Should I not drive anymore? Should I hand over the car keys and the title to someone else and say, "Here, you take this"? I mean, how could I ever drive without knowing for sure that I'm actually going to make it where I'm trying to go? And since I can't be guaranteed of that, how could I ever go anywhere? Because why would I ever want to go anywhere without knowing for sure that I'm going to get there? That sounds too risky to me. I'll never drive again. How will you get around? I won't. People will come visit me. If they're wacky enough to take that risk, then that be on them. But I'll have my groceries delivered to me, and I'll have people come here to visit me, and I'll offer to hold all the parties here at my house every year for holidays and all sorts of things. But there's no way in hell that I'm getting out of this house because I have no guarantee that I'm going to actually make it to where I'm going. Now, when I put it like that, do all of you agree that, you know what, he's got a point? We should never go anywhere ever again because how can we have a guarantee that we're actually going to get there? Does that mean you will all stay housebound now forever? Well, no, I mean I got to go do things. Oh, okay. So then what you're saying to me is there are some what ifs you can say, all right, sure, okay, yeah. And there's other ones you say, no, 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 not that one. No, 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 no. Well, what's the difference? Probably one's more important to you. One has more meaning to you. But are they really different? I don't think so. We can treat them like they are. Doesn't actually mean that they are, though. So let's not fall for the lies. Let's not believe the lies, okay? Tyler says, hey, Dr. McGrath, you're familiar with Dr. Michael Greenberg's work on rumination-focused ERP? If so, what's your stance on it? Because I understand regular ERP is considered the gold standard. Thanks. I look at rumination as a mental compulsion, and that's how I address it, as a mental compulsion. And we do work to get people to not get caught in the loop of rumination. And therefore, the exposure and response prevention therapy would be to the thing that could trigger rumination, and getting people now to move on without ruminating about it. So that's the work that I do. Diane says, grounding tips for an OCD begins spiraling and reminding yourself you have to keep working to recover. You always start doing well and fall right when doing better. I don't really have grounding tips for that, Diane, because I don't really do lots of grounding, because in the midst of things, when things are starting to feel uncomfortable, I want people to do ERP and not anything else. So when you're starting to do well and you fall right when doing better, I want you to put up a sign somewhere in your house, Diane, that says, here's what OCD will try to do to you. Don't fall for the trick. Don't believe it to be true. If OCD is anything, it is predictable. And guess what? Predictable things aren't really scary. You know why? Because they're predictable. If you know it's coming, it's not so frightening. All of you know it's coming, and yet you still act as if it's frightening. And why? Because OCD's figured out one way to frighten you. And those two words that it uses frighten the bejesus bells out of all of you. And those two words are, what if? What if? What if? And then we go back to, and can I live in a world of what ifs? I don't want to. So I'm never going to drive again. Because what if I don't make it? Right? Ryan says, I've been afraid that your intrusive images are different. No, they're not. Because when I have them, I can also see reality at the same time. It's like a tracing paper comes over my eyes. Not a hallucination at all. Okay, cool. Ryan, urges and images. That's why I always try to talk about all three of the things and not just talk about OCD thoughts, because OCD is thoughts, images, and urges, right? Thoughts, images, and urges. So all of them can be subject to great ERP. And Ryan, even though you see that like tracing paper coming over your eyes, that's just another trick of OCD that it does. And it's trying to get you to go down its path of doing compulsions. So Ryan, it can be there, right? I mean, I can will a thought into my head right now. I can look at the screen in front of you, but I can also see a dragon popping out of it and blowing fire at me. Should I duck? Because I see it now. It's in my head. Should I duck from the fire? Or can I have an image? Sure, I can have an image. Right? Pretty vivid one, actually. Gets more convincing all the time. And yet I'm not ducking. Why? Because no matter what, I still know it's an image. So I'm going to leave it at that. And you can approach that in the same way that you approach anything else with OCD as well. Any thoughts on Dr. Greenberg's work on integrating psychoanalysis with ERP? No thoughts on that, because I'm not as familiar with that piece, so I haven't even looked at that. So I have nothing to say on that one. I haven't seen any questions. Oh, you haven't seen your questions last time and this time, but mine was discussed last time. Is it up to this time too? Sorry, Tiff, I can't understand what you're saying there. Ryan says, thanks for helping all of us and hope you get around to my question above. I did, Ryan. So there you go. Hope we had a great holiday. Yes, thank you, everybody. It was lots of fun. How do therapists differentiate what people are versus their thoughts? Well, you can be a screenplay writer and write the most beautiful love story this month and write a horror film next month. Both involved lots of thoughts. So, can you be a screenplay writer who has lots of thoughts and writes them all out, and those thoughts can be in a range? Can you be who you are and your thoughts be a part of you? Yes. That's how. You are who you are and your thoughts are a part of you. Okay? That's what's really important to recognize. Your thoughts are a part of you. Your images that you have in your head are a part of you. The urges that you experience, they are a part of you. They don't have to define you, but they are a part of you. And I want you to keep that in mind. Okay? They are definitely a part of you. So I don't have to differentiate between what people are and their thoughts because I think they're all wrapped up in one. Tiff, here's your question. Maybe I asked how to thrive during the kids being out of school for the holidays instead of feeling like you're white knuckling your way through trying to survive. I think you do ERP specifically to however the kids are triggering you so that you practice that. And then even after the kids go back to school, you keep practicing it so that you're ready for spring break. And then you keep practicing again so you're ready for summer break. And then you're going to get to a point that you're going to practice it so much that it's not going to feel like it's so overwhelming anymore. That's how I think you do it. That's the way that I would approach it. That's what I hope you will do, Tiff. So good luck with that. Well, everyone, we have come to the end of an hour. Man, these always just fly by so fast, don't they? I'm just going to see if anybody doesn't look like anybody does believe that their OCD got them to be satisfied. Nope. No satisfaction. No satisfying. Nope. Nobody's been satisfied. Okay. And nobody's satisfied their OCD enough to the point that it makes it go away either. Okay. Well, what do you know? Well, guess what, everybody? It's been a blast. Thanks for joining. Remember, check us out at nocd.com or treatmyocd.com if you're looking for a therapist for obsessive compulsive disorder related disorders. We treat BFRBs and tics and hoarding as well. And we do work in Canada and the United Kingdom and Australia as well, too. My goal for all of you is a wonderful 2024. My goal for all of you is that in 2024, you know what you do? You decide OCD is a big fat poopy head and I don't like it and I don't want to listen to it anymore. And I'm going to do things that I want to do, even if OCD tells me that I'm wrong, because OCD will always tell you that you're wrong. Always tell you something that you wouldn't tell anyone else to believe. And it will always spread lies, hoping that you follow them. Keep that in mind, everybody. It has been a blast. Happy New Year. And I will see you all next year.